In this task, you create a prompt book. As part of the process, you templatize one of the prompts by editing the prompt with an input parameter and then adding a new prompt. So let's assume there's a session from earlier in the day that identified failed logins that we want to use. Since the session isn't listed in the landing page, first thing we need to do is view all the sessions that we've had from the previous day. So on here, go down to the bottom right, and we'll select View All Sessions. All right. So what we want to do is select the session that says, what are the last 3 failed logins? And you can see that down here. I'm going to reference back to that session. Right. The complete session will get displayed here. So we can see that there are 2 prompts that are used here. All right. What's the UPN of failed logins? And what are the last 3 failed logins? What we'd like to do is we want to create one prompt book that runs both these prompts. So to include a subset of all the prompts, you can select the box next to each individual prompt, or you can select the box next to the pin icon to include all the prompts. In this case, you want to select all the prompts in the session. So we're going to go up and select this link, this box here, and you can see that chooses or selects both the prompts that we want to use. Now that we've selected them, we want to use to create a prompt book icon. It's the little folder icon here with the plus sign. What this will do is this will launch the process to create a prompt book from this. Here you can populate the name, the tags, and description fields for the prompt book. You configure an input parameter and add a prompt. In this case, for what we're going to do, we're going to give you some values that you can use. So what we're going to call this is we're going to call this failed logins. All right. Under our tags, we're going to add a tag for Microsoft Entra. Okay. We can put in a description. We'll call it very simply, find the last 3 failed logins. We're going to keep it simple. Okay. Now, the first prompt is to show the last 3 failed logins. In our custom prompt book, what we want to do is we want to replace the number 3 with an input parameter. That way we can configure whatever we want. To configure that, we'll place our mouse over the first prompt, and then we'll select the edit icon. Right? We'll replace the word 3 with like a parameter, something that we could use that doesn't contain spaces and is delineated with angle brackets. So for example, we could say number, for example. Oh, make sure that's included, that has angle brackets around it. Okay. Good. Now, what that does is that specifies that we want this to be a variable parameter. Once you confirm that, all you have to do is select the check mark icon to configure that. Now, what you'll have is you'll see that in the section where it talks about inputs that you'll need, down here at the bottom, it's now telling you that you'll need a number. For this prompt book, it's going to be the only input we need. But you create prompt books that have multiple inputs. Anything that you want to be now a value for that is what we're going to use. For the prompt book, we'll add a new prompt. So we're going to select Add Prompt. And then we'll go ahead and edit that icon. All right. Now for this, we want to put in another prompt that we want to use. If we're looking at failed login attempts, it might be useful to know the authentication methods that we can use. So we can ask that, what are the authentication methods for the failed logins? Okay, so we've got that, and check that as part of the process. Now, what we want to do, that we've added a valuable required parameter, we've added another prompt to the prompt book. Now we need to figure out is who can use this prompt book. So what we want to be able to do is figure out from the drop-down menu who's going to be able to use this prompt book listing. So if we scroll down, you can see who can use this prompt book. Currently, it's set just for me. I'm going to leave it for that temporarily. Once I have that set, I'll click Create, and voila, you've created a prompt book. Okay. Now, if I want to be able to make this prompt book available to others, there's a share option where I can share the prompt book with others, or I can go to the prompt book library. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to go to the prompt book library. Okay. And what I want to do is I want to find that prompt book and use it. So remember the options we have here: My Prompt Books, Woodgrove, and Microsoft. So if I go to My Prompt Books, well, there you are. You can see the prompt book that I just created. Once I highlight it, you'll see there's a little ellipsis that shows me the available options associated with this. I could view the details, I could duplicate this, I could share it, I could edit it, or I could delete it. What I'd like to do is run the prompt book. So I'm going to click Run, okay? And remember, it asks me for a value. So I click Run in my, excuse me, I want to review the last 2 failed logins. So in this case, I'm going to use 2 because I made that a variable. And now I'll click the Run button. All right. All right. Going through Entra, processing my request. And you'll see the evaluation results momentarily. All right. So you can see here, there's my summary. Okay, it's still preparing that. But just like we saw before, once I have this summary information, I can take that and pin it. Okay, and there you see the summary of the sessions. It revolves around failed login attempts by user Joseph Run. Okay, it says the application they were trying to access, and from an IP address in Quincy, Washington. Okay. And it even tells me what happened. It says that their login failed due to a configuration change in the user's new location. Okay. And you can see then the details associated with that. So this is what you can do on your own, taking the prompts that have occurred in sessions earlier, building a prompt book from those, and that's a reusable object that you can have for any sessions that you want to use in the future. So in this exercise, we created a custom prompt book from an existing session and then ran that prompt book to verify the results.